Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, verse 1. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janaballabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Janaballabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Paribrajakachaja Stotara Sata Sri Srimad Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gora Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Mathura Dham Ki Jai Navadvip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai Jamuna Mai Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, verse number 1. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Anashrita Karma Palam Karyam Karma Karoti Va Sasanyasi Cha Yogi Cha Naniragnir Nachakriyaha. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Anashrita Karma Palam Karyam Karma Karoti Ya Sasanyasi Cha Yogi Cha Naniragnir Nachakriyaha. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Anashrita Karma Palam Karyam Karma Karoti Ya Sasanyasi Cha Yogi Cha Naniragni Nachakriyaha. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. The Lord said, Anashritaha, without shelter, Karma phalam, the results of work. Karyam, obligatory. Karma, work. Karoti, also performs. Ya, one who. Sa, he. Sannyasi, in the renounced order. Cha, also. Yogi, mystic. Cha, also. Na, not. Nir, without. Agni, fire. Na, not. Cha, also. Akriyaha, without duty. Translation and purport of Srila Prabhupada. The Blessed Lord said, one who is unattached to the fruits of his work and who works as he is obliged is in the renounced order of life, and he is the true mystic, not he who lights no fire and performs no work. Purport. In this chapter, the Lord explains that the process of the Eightfold Yoga system is a means to control the mind and the senses. However, this is very difficult for people in general to perform, especially in the age of Kali. Although the Eightfold Yoga system is recommended in this chapter, the Lord emphasizes that the process of karma yoga, or acting in Krishna consciousness, is better. Everyone acts in this world to maintain his family and their paraphernalia. But one who is working without some self-interest, some personal gratification, be it concentrated or extended, the criterion of perfection is to act in Krishna consciousness and not with a view to enjoying the fruits of work. To act in Krishna consciousness is the duty of every living entity, because all are constitutionally parts and parcels of the Supreme. The part and parcels of the body work for the satisfaction of the whole body. The limbs of the body do not act for self-satisfaction, but for the satisfaction of the complete whole. Similarly, the living entity who acts for satisfaction of the Supreme Whole and not for personal satisfaction is the perfect sannyasi, the perfect yogi. The sannyasis sometimes artificially think that they have become liberated from material duties, and therefore they cease to perform Agnihotra yajnas, fire sacrifices. But actually, they are self-interested, because their goal is becoming one with the impersonal Brahman. Such a desire is greater than any mystic desire. Such a desire is greater than any material desire, but it is not without self-interest. Similarly, a mystic yogi who practices the yoga system with half-open eyes, ceasing all material activities, desires some satisfaction for his personal self. But a person acting in Krishna consciousness works for the satisfaction of the whole without self-interest. A Krishna conscious person has no desire for self-satisfaction. His criterion of success is the satisfaction of Krishna, and thus he is a perfect sannyasi or perfect yogi. Lord Chaitanya, the highest perfectional symbol of renunciation, prays in this way: Nadanam najanam nasundarim kavitam va jagadisha kamaye mama janmani jamanishvare bhavatad bhaktir aituki tvayi. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor to enjoy beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. What I want only is the causeless mercy of your devotional service in my life, birth after birth. Anashrita karma palam, karyam karma karoti ya, sasanyasi cha yogi cha, na niragri na chakriyaha. So this is the chapter of Shankya Yoga, of the process of connecting the soul to the super soul. That is yoga. Yoga means to join together. Joining the soul and the super soul. So to join the soul and the super soul implies that you understand that you're a spirit soul. And understanding that you're a spirit soul certainly predicates certain activities. In other words, if you understand you're a spirit soul, then your attachment to the material situation becomes slackened. You no longer identify with the body. You no longer identify with a nation or a family or a particular material situation. You don't identify. You take care of the body in the same way as you take care of your clothing. So everybody needs to have clothing, but the clothing doesn't make the man. The person inside the clothing, the body, and inside the body there is the soul. When one understands he's a spirit soul, then he can begin the process of yoga. Therefore, the yoga system is a very, very strict practice. There are 6 darshana in Vedic knowledge, or 6 processes of understanding our relationship with God, understanding our spiritual nature. And one of them is the yoga process given by the sage Patanjali. The first rule of yoga is to become detached from the general course of material life. Leaving material society and going to the forest and living alone in a secluded place, very undisturbed. And this is called yama. Yama means that you curb the senses. You control the senses. And then niyama, you follow the rules of celibacy. And then asana, you sit in a holy place. Then you perform pranayama, or the breathing process. The breathing process is to calm the senses. Then pratyahara, you withdraw the senses from the sense objects. Then dhyana, then you engage in meditating on the super soul. And then dharana, you maintain that position and you come to the point of samadhi, or total absorption in your relationship with God. This is yoga. No one can practice this kind of yoga in these times. The second word mentioned by Krishna in this verse is who is a sannyasi. Sannyasi means one who's interested in sat, in knowledge, who becomes detached from material life. That is also not recommended in these times. There are 5 acts which are forbidden in Kali Yuga. Ashvamedam galavambyam sanyasam palapaitrikam. Ashvamedha yajna, or performing a horse sacrifice. Galavambyam, performing a cow sacrifice. In the Vedic times, the Brahmanas were so advanced, simply by mantra, they could sacrifice, they could bring back to life the sacrificial animal. So the animal was sacrificed on the fire, an old animal. The Brahmana would chant the mantra, the animal would get a new body. That was the proof that the Brahmana was pure. And that was the proof that he was qualified to perform sacrifice. But those kind of Brahmanas are not present in these times. Therefore, offering a horse or a cow in sacrifice, that is forbidden. Sannyasam, the process of sannyas, is also forbidden. We see that many people take sannyas as a means to maintain their material life. If you go to India, there is hundreds, thousands and thousands of such sannyasis. They are simply wearing a saffron cloth so they can get facilities for their material life. That is forbidden in Kali Yuga. And Palapaitrikam, offering flesh or meat to the forefathers. So meat eating is also forbidden in Kali Yuga under all circumstances. Devarena Sutopatim, in previous Vedic times, if a husband died, his brother could produce a child in his wife. That is also not allowed in Kali Yuga. Kalo Pancha Vivrajayet. These 5 things, Vivarjayet, are forbidden in Kali Yuga. So, what is recommended by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and by Krishna here is Anashrita Karma Phalam. Do not be attached to the fruits of your work. It's just like a teller working in a bank. He is sitting in his place, and people give him so much money to deposit. Some days he collects hundreds of thousands to be put into the account. But even though he's collecting all this money, it is not his money, it is the bank's money. It doesn't become attached. His job is simply to count the money and put it in the right account. Not that he thinks, because I'm collecting all this money, it is mine. No, the money is meant for the bank. So in the same way, on the big scam, on the big scheme of things, Krishna is in control of everything. Aham sarvasya prabhavo, Krishna says. I manifest everything. Mata sarvam pravartate. Everything is coming from me. Iti matva bhajante mam Buddha bhava samam vitaha. One who understands this is Buddha, he is intelligent. So because Krishna is the proprietor of everything, everything is meant to satisfy him. And because we are eternally connected with Krishna, our job is to satisfy Krishna, just like my limbs, my fingers, my hands, they work to satisfy their body. When I get some food, I put it in the stomach because the stomach is the center of the digestive system, and from the stomach, the whole body becomes nourished. When I water the roots of a tree, then all the leaves and twigs and fruits, they are automatically watered because the root is the basis. So the root of everything is Krishna. And when we forget that and come into the material world because of that forgetfulness and take a material body, we, instead of using everything for the service of Krishna, we use everything for the service of the body. But because we're not the body, that doesn't make us satisfied. So, elsewhere in the Bhagavatam, it is also recommended, akama sarva kamova, whether you are free from desire or whether you have all kinds of desires. Akama sarva kamova, moksha kama, whether you want to be liberated. Udharadhi, one who is intelligent, tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. One who is intelligent, whether he is full of desires or has no desires, whether he wants to be liberated, simply by worshipping Krishna, you become free from the identification of the body. Simply by worshipping Krishna, you understand what is your spiritual identity. And once you understand what your spiritual identity is, and you serve Krishna, then you automatically become detached. You automatically become a sannyasi. Sannyas is not simply wearing saffron cloth. Sannyas means to be detached from material life. To understand your spiritual identity and to engage in the service of Krishna. That is the purpose of sannyas. And the purpose of yoga is again to connect with Krishna. So, once there was a discussion between Durga Devi and her husband, Lord Shiva. And she asked him, what is the highest perfection in life? What is the highest worship? And Lord Shiva replied that the highest worship is the worship of Narayan, the worship of Krishna. Narayana para sarve na kutaschana bibhyati. Actually, what happened was that Durga Devi was sitting on the lap of Lord Shiva. And one king, Chitraketu, one great demigod, he was passing in his flower aeroplane and he saw Durga Devi sitting on the lap of Lord Shiva. And he laughed, he made a joke that here is Lord Shiva, who is the greatest of all demigods, the most detached, yet he has his wife on his lap. So Lord Shiva, he understood. It was a joke, it was humorous. He understood the intention behind it. But Durga Devi, she didn't take it that way. She became angry. And she cursed Chitraketu. And Chitraketu, when he was cursed by Durga Devi, he bowed down, he got down from his aeroplane, he bowed down before her and he said, my dear goddess, I have made a mistake. Please forgive me. I have offended you. And when this happened, Lord Shiva said to Durga, just see. He says, you lost your temper and you cursed him, but he didn't lose his temper. He didn't curse you back. He apologized. He bowed down before you. He says, this is the quality of one who is a devotee of God. Is Narayana para sarve, one who is Narayana para, one whose goal of life is Narayan, one who thinks Narayan is the best and the only thing there is. So, Narayana para sarve na kutaschana bibhyati. He is never, such a devotee of Narayan, is never afraid in any place. Swarga upavarga narakeshu, whether he goes to the heavenly planets, whether he becomes liberated next life, or whether he goes to hell. Sarva tulasya darshina. He sees everything equally. So, what is this apavarga? Apavarga means, this is coming from the Sanskrit grammar. The vowels are called vargas. Ka varga, ta varga, pa, and pa varga is pa, 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 ba, ba, ma. These are the 5 consonants in the pa varga. So pa means parabhava, that no matter what you do in material life, you will be defeated. Even you become the greatest living entity, the greatest leader of mankind, whether you become a great emperor or a great powerful hero, ultimately you have to get old and you have to die. This is called parabhava. And the next is pa, or pena, that living in a material world means you have to work like an ass, like and until foam comes from your mouth. We can see, Prabhupada noticed one of the things when he came to America was that from early in the morning, they were getting in the cars, they were going zoo, 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 up and down, from morning until evening, cars and trucks and trains moving here and there, and working so hard until foam comes from the mouth. This is one of the conditions of material life. Pa, pa, ba. Ba means, forget. And bha means fear. Everybody is fearful. And ma is mritu, or death. So one has to work very hard until foam comes from his mouth, is full of fear, and ultimately dies. This is called the pavarga. And apavarga means to become free from these things. When you become a devotee of Krishna, when you understand you're a spirit soul, you don't require so many material things. You don't become attached. You don't require to have a big family, to have a big house, to have money. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya prays, Na dhanam, I don't want money. Na janam, I don't want followers. Na sundarim, I don't want a beautiful wife. Kavitam va, I don't want to be very expert at philosophy, at speaking, or living a very sophisticated lifestyle. Jagadisha kamaye, Jagad Madhya Lord, these are kama, these are lusty desires. I don't want any of these. What do you want then? Mama Janmani Jamaneshware Bhavatad Bhakti Raituki. That birth after birth, may I have the devotional service to Krishna. May I have your devotional service. Later on, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he also wrote a very beautiful song. And in the song, he paraphrased Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Dana jana ar kavita sundari bolibo na chai deo sukha chari jamme dao ohe gora hari ahetuki bhakti charane tomar. Dana jana ar, money, jana, followers, and so on, are kavita sundari, beautiful woman, and beautiful aristocratic lifestyle. Bolibo na chai, I don't want these things. Deo Sukhachari, I want to give up the idea of satisfying my senses independently of God. Jamme dao ohe Gora Hari. Oh Gora Hari, jamme, life after life, ahaituki bhakti charane tomar. Give me unmotivated devotional service at your lotus feet. And this is the process through which we can understand Krishna, devotional service. Therefore, here in this verse, Krishna says, to work in Krishna, karyam karma, to work in Krishna consciousness. And later on in the Gita, Krishna also says that bhakti mam abhijanati yavan yas chasmi tattvatat. To know me in truth, in tattvataha, in truth, it is the process of bhakti has to be executed. So, how do you learn the process of bhakti? You learn the process of bhakti by following someone who is already practiced in the practice of bhakti yoga. You learn it from a spiritual master. And we, particularly our generation, we learn it from Srila Prabhupada. This is, I spent so many years practicing Krishna consciousness, so many years in India. From 1976 to 1985, I spent 10 years continuously traveling all over East, West, and South India. I met so many hundreds and hundreds of sadhus, but I never met anyone like Prabhupada. I've never read any instructions like Prabhupada gives. I never heard any lectures or classes like Prabhupada gave. Therefore, by his activity, he was able to teach us and to hand down the process because he knew it. You cannot give something that you don't have. If I don't have pure love of God, I cannot give pure love of God to somebody else. But Prabhupada had pure love of God, and he gave it to us. We may not have it perfectly. I may not be able to perfectly practice the pure love that Prabhupada had, but I can follow in his footsteps. I can understand what he is giving. I can understand the importance of his gift. So, Bhaktivinoda, he prays, Kripa Koro Vaishnava Thakur. My dear Vaishnava, give me your mercy. Shambandha Janiya Bolite Abhimana Hoidur. Simply by understanding my relationship with you, then my false ego will go away. Simply by taking shelter of Prabhupada, by reading his books, by listening to his lectures, by chanting the mantra, Hare Krishna mantra that he gave us, we become free from abhiman, from the identification of the body. We actually get a taste of spiritual life. We get a taste of our identity. Once you get that taste, there is nothing to compare it. You may not become perfect, but you know that perfection is there. It is like being lost in the forest, but suddenly you find a guide who says, yes, this is the way out. It may take a long time to come out of the forest, but if you follow the guide, you know you will become free from wandering in the forest. You will come out. You will come to your destination. So, what is the mood in relationship with the Vaishnava, in relationship with Prabhupada? So Bhaktivinoda continues in this song, Ami to Vaishnava, e buddhi hole, amani nahabu ami. That if I'm thinking I'm a devotee, then I will not become humble. Pratishta ashi hridoya dushiba. If I think I'm a Vaishnav, then the next thing is I will expect other people to respect me or to honor me. And that will contaminate my heart, and hoibo nirayagami, Bhaktivinoda says, I will go to hell. Tumara kinkara apane janibo guru abhimana tyaji. Simply by remaining in the consciousness that I am your eternal servant, then the desire to become guru will not become manifested in my heart. The qualification of becoming a guru is the desire of not wanting to be one. That is a real qualification. Tumara uchista pada jalarenu sada niskapate baji. I simply want your mercy. I want the dust of your lotus feet. I want to take the water that has washed your lotus feet. And that is my only desire. So anyhow, Bhaktivinoda, he has this beautiful song, Kripa Koro Vaishnava Thakur. That without the mercy of a Vaishnava, it is not possible to make progress. Even Narottam Das, he quoted that Bina Vaishnava Seva Nishta Peche Keba. Without serving a pure Vaishnava, who has ever become fixed up in devotional service? Nishta means that you are completely convinced of your spiritual identity, and you are completely convinced of your relationship with Krishna, and you're completely convinced that everything else is illusion. Good. Thank you very much. So we have some comments from Atma Vidya Prabhu, humble obeisances, from Mandy Pryor from Cambridge, Hare Krishna, good evening. Atma Vidya comments that the explanations of sanctioned words down to the syllables are always wonderful extra bonus to your list of classes. Well, thank you very much. Very early in my devotional service, I heard Prabhupada say that Sanskrit is the key to knowledge, opens the door to knowledge, and it takes 12 years to learn. Well, I've been trying for many, many years. I don't know anything about Sanskrit, but I do know enough to appreciate Prabhupada's teachings, Bhaktivinoda songs, Narottam songs. Early on, I used to sing bhajans in India, and I didn't want to sing like a parrot. I wanted to know, what am I actually singing? What is the meaning of Manasa Deya Geha? What is the meaning of Samsara Davanala? So I took a lot of trouble to learn the word for word. And that enriched my spiritual life very, very much. Good. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next week on Wednesday. Hare Krishna.